Alright, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, and for today's video I had a couple of you guys requesting that I do an updated list of the top 10 best supervillains currently available in Marvel Future Fight, because we just got a very good update for free-to-play players. All of the new characters that came in are supervillains, so I think it's time that we update this list for real. So keep in mind that this is just my personal opinion, right? And the characters that I'm choosing today may not be the ones that you would put in your top 10, and if that's different for you, please feel free to hit me up in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it, but this is my personal top 10. Now for this video, we're going to be excluding tier 2 natives. Even though a lot of the tier 2 natives can be attained for free, I'm not going to be including them in this list. I'm also going to be excluding people like Sabretooth. Even though he can be attained for free if you save up enough crystals over time, I'm going to be excluding him. I'm also going to be excluding people like Magneto from the deluxe package, simply because even though they're free, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to save up enough crystals to purchase those characters, and I want to focus on characters that you can attain very quickly, like from story missions, special missions, or from Shadowland selectors, from simply completing Shadowland every single week, right? The first 25 stages, well, to be honest, the first 15 stages just to get the bio selectors. So that being said, man, let's jump right into it. Keep in mind that this list, right, is just structured the way I feel personally about these characters, so you could shift around the numbers and it could work out just perfectly fine for you. So number 10 on this list is actually going to be this guy right here, Pimptron. Now Pimptron is just Giant Man rocking this uniform, and this uniform, if you pick it up, it's definitely worth getting it to Mythic because you get a CTP selector. So yeah, just keep that in mind, right? That's the main reason why I bought this. And if you pick it up, you're gonna have yourself a pretty good supervillain. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna have invincibility on his 5th skill, with a summon here on the 4th skill, and a couple different iframes. Without this uniform, Giant Man is basically useless in the current state of the game, but if you pick up the uniform, he becomes a pretty reliable supervillain for you. Next up is actually going to be Claw, and honestly, I really debated putting Claw on this list, and the person who I was going to replace Claw with is actually Sandman. So for those of you guys who are going to give me flack for not having Sandman on this list, Claw took his place, and let me know if you personally think that was a bad decision, because I can definitely swap him out next time I do a list like this, because I don't really do these very often. Maybe like once or twice a year I'll update this, right? So Claw is in the number 9 spot because I think he's a solid super villain, right? Couple iframes, summons, and in addition to that, he has a pretty good 4-star passive that can help out the allies, giving them 30% more critical damage. I think he's a very solid super villain. He can do world boss, not at a high level, but you can use him in ABX and you can use him in Shadowland. He can cover most of the PvE content, right? But Sandman has a heal in his kit, he has damage immunity, and he has a couple iframes as well. So I can see why most of you guys may think Sandman is deserving of being on this list, but I gave his spot to Claw just because I can use Claw with the other characters on this list to beef them up on different days in ABX, right? So yeah, I put him in the number 9 spot. Next in the number 8 spot is actually Titania. For those of you guys who watched that live stream, man. So Titania, right? Titania is in the number 8 spot for me, simply because she has a great leadership. She has a heal on her tier 2 passive. She has an iframe with good damage on her 5th, right? She has damage immunity and accumulation on her 3rd skill. She also has defense down right here. It's not the greatest defense down, but it helps to bump up her DPS. Overall, I think she's a good leader and she actually gets shit done, man. So salute to Netmarble. She's actually a good character, right? And no uniform is required for her, so always gotta respect characters like those. Number 7 on this list, and I really want to put this guy higher, but playing him in World Boss Ultimate is kind of stressful and it's really hard to keep him alive. But number 7 on this list is actually Korath, and the reason why he's even this high up is because if you don't have Electro, he's the best for the speed day in ABX. Speed supervillain day, he's the best character, and honestly I would say stick with him. He's not the easiest character to keep alive in ABX, he's not the strongest for that particular day, but honestly, he's free, and Electro is not going to do too much better than him, right? So there's no reason to spend a whole bunch of money just to pick up Electro. I'd say stick with this guy. He's good enough to get the job done. He has damage immunity in his kit. He has decent damage, and honestly, he's fun to play if you have the skill to keep him alive, right? So I would personally put him on this list as one of the top 10 You know what I'm saying? Supervillains in the game if you're free to play and you're looking for some bio selector characters. Next up is number 6, Liquid Courage, my guy Hydro Man coming in. Yes, I put him on this list. I think he's a solid, well, he's a liquid, but anyways, you get what I'm saying. I think he's a very, very good supervillain, very safe, unlike Korath, and that's why I put him so high up, right? He has multiple different iframes, right? He also has damage immunity. He also has an amazing 5th skill that does good damage. Lots of buffs in this guy's kit. We have a buff here on his 5th. We have a buff on his 4-star passive and a buff on his tier 2 passive, and he has super armor. Honestly, he's a better character overall than Korath, so that's why I put him so high up on this list. Next up is actually my Ronin. Yes, guys, I put Ronin in the 5th spot simply because he's an amazing leader, right? He has a decent support tier 2 passive, and overall in this uniform he is actually a very, very good super villain. Honestly, I think he's underrated. I actually have a lot of love for the character, right? He has a big heal right here. This heal, it only shows that he heals for 1 second for 15%, but it's actually 2 seconds. So every time you use this skill, every 10 seconds, if you have max skill cooldown, you can heal 30% of your max HP. You're getting that big attack buff, and you also get that damage immunity, right? Also that defense down, which will apply on World Boss Ultimate. And his 4th skill actually does good damage. It's an iframe, lots of crowd control in Ronin's kit. Overall, a very good character, and I put him in the 5th spot because I think he is deserving. Next up is in the number 4th spot. I decided to put Morgan Le Fay. I wanted to put her right up on this list, but her damage, man, her damage is why she is not higher up on this list. But Morgan Le Fay overall is an amazing character because she has the revive. You know what I'm saying? It's only 50% of her max HP that she's reviving with, but she has a heal in her kit, right? She has a mind control. She also has defense down. Oh my goodness. She's a very fun and safe character to play. And honestly, she can do PvE and PvP depending on where you are. Like if you're in the Vibranium League, then definitely not, right? But if you're a new player coming in the game and you're in the lower leagues, she can hold it down depending on how you build her, man. So I would definitely put her here as one of the best free-to-play supervillains in the game, no doubt. Next up, boys, is actually, I really wanted to put my guy higher up on this list. I really wanted to put him higher up on this list. Some of you guys may give me flack for this, but it's King Drip. I put King Drip in the 3rd spot. Let me know if this is blasphemy. Let me know if you would personally put him higher up. But Molten Man is in the 3rd spot, guys. Yes, he's in the 3rd spot, okay? Damage immunity, paralysis that works in World Boss Ultimate at premium as it gets, boys. Being able to paralyze world bosses, you know what I'm saying, reduce their defense so you can do more damage to them. A massive attack buff on a couple of his skills: bind, fear, stun, more defense down, well, fire resistance down. You get what I'm saying? He's an amazing character. The only thing I think he's missing overall is just a heal. If he had a heal, I would probably put him a little bit higher up on his list, and that's just my personal opinion. Okay, so number 3 is Molten Man, King Drip. Number 2, now I really struggled putting her above Molten Man, but yeah, Minerva. Even though she requires a uniform to be here, I put Minerva in the number 2 spot simply because she can cover at least 4 days in ABX, whereas this guy can only cover 1, right? The combat supervillain. She can combat, well, she can do combat supervillain, she can do combat female, she can do villain female, and she can do like no restrictions. Like she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. She can cover multiple days. In addition to that, obviously, she can do World Boss Ultimate on a very high level. A couple of you guys have been asking to see a comparison DPS wise between her and Molten Man. If that's something you guys seriously want to see, get down there in the comment section and let me know. Okay, so number 2, I decided to give it to Minerva. Keep in mind, uniform is definitely required. If you have the base form, yeah, she's much lower down on this list. Honestly, if it's the base form we're talking about, I would say I put her quite low, probably down there with Hydro Man, right? Just keep that in mind. Next up, in the number 1 spot, you guessed it, yeah, the master of magic, Mr. Beck. You know what I'm saying? World's greatest magician, Mysterio. This uniform is definitely required, boys. Without this uniform, whew, I would say he's down there like in the number 9 or number 10 spot, or maybe not even making this list. But with this uniform, he has good enough damage, very good survivability, right? Heal. Oh my goodness, damage immunity. The summons kind of hurt him a little bit, but multiple iframes and overall just very, very good attack power. So I have to put him on this list. I know for some of you guys he may not be number 1, but I would easily say when we're talking best free-to-play super villains, he has to be in the number 5 spot for you guys. That's as low as I would ever put him, right? Keep in mind we're excluding tier 2 natives. We're excluding characters like Magneto and Sabretooth that you have to pay crystals for. We're just focusing on characters that you can farm from story missions, special missions, or characters that you can just pick up from bio selectors, right? So let me know if you guys agree with this list. Let me know if you disagree with it. If you think Sandman is deserving to be here instead of Claw. I didn't want to stack this list with all combat characters. I try to have some variation, some variety here, and that's why I put Claw in here. But if there's somebody else that you think deserves to be here and somebody else who you think shouldn't be here, please feel free to let me know. I was gonna give a honorable mention to Loki simply because I really like him and he can cover a good amount of days in ABX, but he doesn't really have that much use anymore for World Boss Ultimate, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I put him here, kind of has an honorable mention. The damage is good, but he doesn't really do too much else besides some Shadowland and some ABX. So he's an honorable mention along with Sandman. Feel free to hit me up in the comments and let me know what you guys think of this list. And if you'd like me to do one for the heroes, right? Best free-to-play heroes, hit me up in the comments and I can definitely do that. So with that being said, man, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.